Well, thank you everyone for joining us in Harvard Extension School for our coffee chat, all about management programs at HES. I'm thrilled you're joining us today, and we have a great session in store for you. My name is Jacqueline Brinkhouse, and I will be the coffee chat moderator for today. Before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items to keep in mind for this webinar. A recording of this webinar will be sent to the email you used to register. The recording will also be accessible on the event page and our Harvard Extension School YouTube channel. Please utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions to our management staff, students, and alumni. Our team has compiled your pre-submitted questions, and we will elevate appropriate questions from the Q&A feature to our panelists. Lastly, we will not be using the raise hand feature during this session today. So today we will start with Laura Wilcox, our Director of Business and Management Programs, and Lynn Larson, the Assistant Director of Business and Management Programs, reviewing our program offerings, including graduate degrees, certificates, and microcertificates. We will then discuss program benefits and outcomes and conclude with a live Q&A coffee chat with our directors, an academic advisor, a pre-degree and admissions advisor, current students, and alumni. We'd also like to note that members of our enrollment services team are also here answering your questions in the Q&A feature. It is now my pleasure to introduce Laura Wilcox, Director of Business and Management Programs. Over to you, Laura.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Hello, and thank you for joining us today to learn more about our management degree programs in business and management. Whether you're looking to break into management, finance, or industrial organizational psychology, or simply advance your career in this space, now is the ideal time to upskill. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, there will be an 8% management growth increase over the next decade. We have a variety of degrees, certificates to support your goals, no matter where you are in your educational journey. Today's focus will be on our management degree programs. We offer flexible pace, unique course formats, and stackable curriculum that allows you to study part-time, choosing courses that fit your schedule and align with your personal and professional goals. Next slide, please. The 3 degree programs under the business and management are taught by practitioners and academics, allowing you to advance your knowledge and skills to solve real-world challenges and stay ahead of the curve. Each program consists of 12 courses, which includes an interactive residency requirement. The curriculum provides timeless foundational skills and timely electives to support changes in industry. Next slide. One of the many unique opportunities at Extension is the ability to stack courses and certificates to degrees. We offer over 110 unique courses that can be combined in different ways to form microcertificates and certificates. We offer approximately 14 certificates that can be stacked to our 3 degree programs. Now I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to talk more about stackability.
Thanks so much, Laura. So most of our graduate certificates require about 4 courses to complete. There are a few exceptions to this. Certificates help you build expertise in a specialized area to advance your career, and they can be earned on your way to your graduate degree. So as Laura said, if you plan ahead, you can directly stack a certificate's requirements to your graduate degree. For example, all 4 of the courses required for the organizational behavior certificate can also fulfill requirements for the industrial organizational psychology degree. I recommend meeting with your academic advisor early on to create a tentative plan to complete both your degree requirements and your certificate requirements. And I also want to point out that we have a few new micro certificates, which require 2 courses. Well-being at work is an example of one of these new micro certificates. So if you did the well-being at work micro certificate, that would then stack to the organizational behavior graduate certificate, which then stacks to the industrial organizational psychology degree. We believe in earn your way in admissions because we want to meet you where you are now. We know that life is complex and test scores and previous grades aren't always an accurate portrayal of your abilities. You'll apply to your desired degree program while you're taking your third admission course, and these courses enable you to showcase your ability to be successful in the program while preparing you for graduate level coursework. And these admission courses are part of the program curriculum and count toward the 12-course degree after you're admitted. And so on the next slide, I'm going to talk about the on-campus experience. After you're admitted to one of our graduate programs, you have the opportunity to learn both inside and outside the classroom. We require an on-campus experience here at Harvard, and we provide a few flexible options, including 2 active learning weekends or a 3-week summer course on campus. And this picture is from Teo Nicolai's Applied Principles of Real Estate Active Learning Weekend. And during this weekend, students participated in interactive Harvard Business School case study discussions. They explored potential investment properties in Harvard Square on the ground in person, and they worked in teams to present investment proposal pitches to the class. So with this weekend, students can gain hands-on experience, they can apply right away, and they have a lot of fun with it. When you become a degree candidate at Harvard Extension School, you gain access to many of the same incredible resources as any Harvard student, such as an ID card and access to libraries, the iLab, and other campus spaces. We have staff members to support you every step of the way, from admissions to your time as an admitted degree candidate, and even after you graduate as an alum. Our programs are designed for impact. Courses are challenging, experiential, relevant, and actionable. Applied selling and sales management, negotiation and organizational conflict resolution, and corporate finance are just a few of the courses you can take and apply what you've learned at work the very next day. And now I'll turn it back over to Laura.
Thanks, Lynn. We are part of Harvard. We've been part of the Harvard landscape for 113 years, and we welcome you. Some of our prospective students often ask, how does Harvard Extension fit into the Harvard University system? We are one of the 12 degree granting schools alongside Harvard College and Harvard Business School. Just like all graduates from all other schools at Harvard, you will earn a Harvard degree. On commencement day, you'll join all Harvard graduates in Harvard Yard to enjoy the celebration. And you'll have a lifetime membership to the Harvard Alumni Association and Harvard Extension Alumni Association. And now it's time for you to meet several of our students and get a few of your questions answered through our panel. Jacqueline, over to you.
Thank you so much, Laura. I would now like to introduce our staff, student, and alumni panel who will be joining us for our Q&A. Nada, if you could please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm Nada El-Noahi. I'm the Assistant Director of the Graduate Academic Advising Office here at HES. So in our office, we work closely with degree candidates pursuing master's degrees up until when they're admitted, up until they graduate. We offer guidance, support throughout their academic journey, whether it's helping navigate course selection, provide resources when needed, or just offering advice on program requirements. Our team is always dedicated to ensuring each student receives personalized and comprehensive support for students to thrive in their academic pursuits and their journey. It is a privilege to be part of such a dynamic and intellectually stimulating environment, working alongside passionate individuals committed to their educational goals. Thank you, Jackie.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nada. And yes, our academic advisors are a great resource for our students throughout their journey here. So thanks so much for being here today, Nada. Next, Kelly Ross, if you could tell us a bit more about yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Kelly Ross. For the past 8 years, I've been an advisor in the Office of Pre-Degree Advising and Admissions. I'm also a recent graduate from the ALM Industrial Organizational Psychology. I'm excited to be here today to answer any questions you may have about the admissions process.
Perfect. Thank you, Kelly. Now, Lillian, one of our students, could you tell us a bit more about yourself today?
Yes, hi, nice to meet you all. My name is Lillian Palm. I am in the ALM management program, set to graduate next spring. And that's pretty much it, I think. Sorry.
All good. Lisa, if you could tell us a bit more about yourself.
I'd be happy to, and you cut me off if I talk for too long. I'm Lisa, and I'm taking the master's in IO psychology as well, and I'm local in the Harvard area, and I will apologize, I'm sick today, so I'm not on camera. I would share that I started my Harvard journey in 2020 during the height of COVID shutdowns. All my work was canceled, and I hunkered down and plowed ahead, went full steam ahead, and took my first 9 courses in 11 months. I'm not sure if I advised that. But in 2021, when campus started opening up, as a local, I was so thrilled to be able to access such amazing buildings and facilities and people. And right now, I'm taking as long as possible to complete my degree. So if any of you end up taking courses here, you'll probably see me, because if I can help it, I will squeak my degree out till 2026.
Very understandable. It's a beautiful campus, fantastic community. And thank you for being here despite being a little under the weather. So thank you, Lisa. And last but not least, Sean. Sean, could you tell us about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, my name is Sean Haas. I am a graduate student in the ALM Finance program, graduating in May of 2024. I am thrilled to be here today to tell you about my fantastic experience. Much like our other students, I started this program in early 2022. COVID was ending, and I have found the community, the professors, the faculty, the students, my peers, to be the most life-changing aspect of my educational experience at Harvard. And thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Sean. Thank you, everyone. And a reminder to please submit your questions for the panel in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Now I'll invite all of our panelists to turn our videos on and raise our coffee mugs to kickstart our coffee chat. So just wait a second to get everyone here. Lisa's a bit under the weather today, so Lisa is virtually raising her mug. All right, 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Awesome, and that will kick us off. So the first question for our panel is for Laura. Laura, is the ALM management degree comparable to an MBA?
They are different degrees, and there's a number of different factors that differentiate the two. One of which, an MBA tends to be a very lockstep. It tends to be a feeder to various industries. Also, it tends to require that you go with a complete cohort. But with our degree, ours is a very broad-based. So it's the equivalent of kind of a European management, master's in management degree. And that's typically designed for working professionals who basically are looking for a master's in management, but that they have more flexibility in terms of course options. It tends to be designed for more flexibility in terms of courses, modalities. So it really fits with people who are working full time. So when exploring it, really be thinking about how does this kind of support your future goals? And do you need an MBA in order to get there? And very few ever require that.
Perfect. Thank you, Laura. And Lillian, I know that you are currently pursuing a management degree. Could you tell us a bit more about why you chose to pursue a management degree and how it's been so far?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been amazing. And then one of the reasons I chose this particular path was the flexibility that Laura mentioned. I was looking at different MBA programs, and they were so lockstep. And then with having little kids and a husband with a challenging and very demanding career too, it was just hard for us to fit it all together, and having more flexibility and being able to add more classes or slow down at times when needed, adding the shorter terms, 3-week programs over the J terms or the summer. Just having all these different options was so amazing, to be able to fit everything together and still be able to pursue graduate education.
Thanks so much, Lillian. And I think flexibility, is one of the main tenets of what we do here. We try to provide our educational and accessible, flexible ways we can meet our students where they are and meet them in the life that they're, currently pursuing. So thanks so much for sharing your experience. Laura, we got a question in the chat. What is the difference between industrial organizational psychology and management?
Yeah, great question. Management tends to offer a very broad-based, what I call kind of timeless management competencies. The great thing about IOP is it's this wonderful blend of part management and part psychology. So what you're doing is you're combining some of the management core competencies with some of psychology core competencies and allowing you to really be thinking about how people work in organizations, how you manage them, what's dynamics of teams, and why it's so hard to manage that people piece rather than the process piece of management problems.
Perfect. And Lisa, could you tell us a bit more about why you chose to do industrial organizational psychology as opposed to management or finance?
I don't know if I'm the most brilliant person to answer that, because I know a lot of people are on the fence about management versus IO. And I've actually spoken to a lot of classmates and people in the course that I'm TAing about that. Me personally, it was IO was a clearer choice. But so instead of talking about me, maybe I could share what a lot of my classmates are going through is which one is going to be more useful to sort of get a job. That's the really big question. And I think Laura said it really beautifully to say that basically IO is kind of like a cross between management and psychology, sort of a cross between business and leadership and psychology. The classmates I know who end up choosing IO end up doing so because it's a really blossoming field. And if you go on Google and look at the statistics for jobs and salaries and projections for jobs and openings in the next few years in IO, it seems to be a wonderful place to go. And I think that is what influences a lot of my classmates' decisions to choose this program. With no offense to Sean or Lillian, you chose a great degree too.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And Kelly, I know that you mentioned that you just recently graduated from the industrial organizational program. Can you tell us a bit more about why you chose that program and kind of what were some of the deciding factors between IOP, management, finance?
Yeah, of course. So for me, my interest lies more in that thinking about how organizations work rather than the economics or the finance behind that. And so in my decision-making process, I was very deliberate in looking at what courses were, what the course category requirements were on the degree requirements pages for all 3 of the programs. And then I explored the course catalogs for each of the fields. So I knew exactly what types of courses I would need to be planning for. And so the courses that are more psychology leaning were of great interest to me. And then also the management courses as well. So that's sort of how I kind of planned out what path I would take.
Perfect. That's a very pragmatic approach. So I think so many of our attendees here today can probably relate to that. And Sean, could you tell us about why you chose finance?
Absolutely. And it's essentially that my background has always been more quantitative, and my undergraduate degree was in finance and economics. I really came to Harvard Extension seeking finance in the first place. And as I've learned from my different peers and classmates over the last couple of years, there are so many fantastic programs. And perhaps if I'd come in early with a more open mind, I may have changed directions, but I'm quite satisfied with finance. It's been the ALM program has been a fantastic mix of both qualitative and quantitative coursework, and I have only good things to say.
Thank you so much, Sean. And Nada, I know that as an academic advisor, you and your team would help students kind of decide which path is right for them. Could you walk us through some of the early conversations you have with students while they're trying to figure out, the best path forward towards a degree. Oop, I think you
Sorry.
might be.
Yes.
Yeah, here we
Yeah.
go.
Sorry. Yeah, I noticed. So initially we require students as soon as they're admitted to meet with us just to get an understanding of what they're looking as career aspirations, what they want to be. And this initial meeting helps us set their path for what classes they would take in order to reach that final stage of what they're looking for by the end of that graduate degree. So even though we don't require students to meet with us frequently, it is recommended, especially after their admission to their program, just in order to make sure that all the classes that they're up for is what they're looking for. So it's important to just keep in connection and stay in connection with us and with their academic advisor. That would help, align all the courses with their career aspirations.
Perfect. And yeah, I hear from so many students how great of a resource you and your team are throughout the entire journey. And speaking of, Lynn, we got a question in the chat. How long does it take to complete a master's degree program? And I know Lisa mentioned she's going to try to stay on campus taking courses as long as possible. How long do students have to complete their degree?
Yeah, so if you follow the traditional admission path, which is you take your 3 pre-admission courses, we give you 5 years from your 3rd degree applicable course. We have a couple other admission pathways as well, where we give you, if you were to do the HBX core certificate through Harvard Business School online, we'd give you 6 years from the completion of that certificate. So, but, for most students, we give you 5 years from the 3rd degree applicable course. I'd say the average completion is roughly 3.5 years. I think that I completed mine in like 2.5 to 3 years, depending, it's depending on how fast or how slow you want to go. I love that Lisa is just taking her sweet time and, absorbing every minute of the experience as a student. But then there's other students who really just want to finish as fast as possible to get that degree on their resume. So we give you about 5 years. Most students take about 3.5.
Perfect. And thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot that both you and Laura are graduates of the program. So we truly have a representative panel with us today. So another question we got in the chat is, how can I meet the campus residency requirement? Is it possible to take more than 4 credits of active learning electives? So Laura, I would love to address this question to you.
Okay, well, I'm also, I'll have Lynn kind of chime in. We offer this really unique opportunity to not only have the flexibility of different course formats and being able to combine studies with working full-time and taking courses online, but you actually get to come to the Harvard campus. And what I really like about these active learning is that it's applied learning. So you get to think about different theoretical frameworks. You get to practice how it's applied. You get to see how it ties to real world problems. You get to meet your peers and these wonderful people that you get to see on the screen. You get to see them in 3D, which is really exciting. So we offer 2 intensive weekends that you can fulfill the residency requirement, or we offer a 4-day intensive class in January, or for international students who need an I-20, you're welcome to come for the 3-week session in summer. So there's a number of different ways in which you can fill the residency requirement. And yes, you can take more, but I do have to say that only up to 4 credits apply towards the residency. Anything above and beyond that is completely up to you and your discretion. Lynn, did I cover everything?
Yeah, I think you covered everything perfectly. I have nothing to add.
Awesome. Thank you. And Sean, could you tell us about your experience coming to Harvard's campus and what that meant for you and the path you're on now?
Absolutely. My residency time, so my summer at Harvard's campus was life-changing for me. I came for the 7-week session, which is in some ways a short period of time because the classes move fairly quickly, but it is also much longer than the 3-week session. It was fantastic to be able to meet my peers. There were several individuals that I had seen on Zoom for the last year and a half. We coordinated our on-campus time. We met on campus. We went and had a coffee. It was fantastic. So as you said, taking the people from Zoom and seeing them in 3 dimensions, quite literally. At the same time, I was able to meet professors in person. I had previously worked as a teaching assistant for Professor Gregory Sabin, who teaches corporate finance amongst several other courses. And I met with him at HBS. He showed me around campus. It was a fantastic experience. And many of the peers that I met in that Harvard summer period, we are very good friends. We are still in touch. And as I said, it truly solidified the Harvard experience for me.
Perfect. And Lillian, did you have a similar experience coming to campus?
Yes, definitely. It's really kind of fun to see the people in 3D, like Sean said. Like you see them on screen, but then you get to hang out. And we were staying in the same hotel, so we had like this, not only the in-classroom interaction, but also afterwards, and exchanged phone numbers. And we're planning to get together for commencement coming May, and kind of exchanging information about which hotels to book so our husbands can hang out because they might get along too. So you have all of that is just really, besides like just experiencing, I think, the Harvard campus, like being there, it's like, it's real. We're here, we're seeing everything. You get to see all these incredible libraries, and just being there, seeing it and experiencing it is really phenomenal. So yeah, I would second everything Sean said. It's amazing to be on campus.
Perfect. And Lisa, could you tell us a little bit more about your time on campus? I know you live nearby, you're trying to extend that time out. Could you tell us about what it's like to, actually be walking in the steps of history, going into some Harvard buildings, what that's been like?
Oh, that's actually just so lovely. I have to also echo what Sean and Lillian said about how possible and amazing it is to make real human bonds on Zoom. I really never would have thought that was possible. And then to meet people in person, have classmates from Mexico City come up and stay for a few weeks and whatnot. That has been just unbelievable. I'm a very wear my heart on the sleeve kind of person. So the first time that I walked into Widener Library, this is going to sound very corny, but I remember being struck, sitting at this really beautiful oak desk thinking, who else studied here? Who else sat here and did their homework? It's pretty humbling sometimes, I think, to go into these buildings and just be.
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, combining the advantage of being with your peers in person, walking in the steps of history, and then marrying, the theory you're learning in class and some of the pragmatic elements you're learning in class with actually being on campus and doing these activities and case studies is, just a few of the advantages of coming to campus. So a couple people did ask in the chat, how do you build community in online classes? And say you have a question for a professor, how did you get those answered? Sean, could you start us off with kind of your experience building community in your online courses?
Absolutely, yes. And so I'm initially from Dallas, Texas, so I did the vast majority of my coursework on Zoom from Dallas. Building community online is all about what you put into it. If you come to class, you are engaged, your camera's on, you're paying attention, and you are open to communicate. You'll find that the peers, the professors, the faculty, all of them are willing to reciprocate. On the other hand, if you do not engage, then the experience is quite different. But my point is, if you approach this program with the correct or the right attitude, it can give back to you so much more than you put in.
Fantastic. And Kelly, again, congratulations on your recent graduation. Could you tell us a little bit more about your experience taking online courses? And say you did have a question for a professor, how did you get those questions answered?
Yeah, of course. I think I did most of my coursework throughout the pandemic, so there was most of my courses held online, and the WhatsApp groups, the kind of like unofficial chats that it's student led per class, were very useful in forming relationships or keeping up with assignments if there were group projects. So I think that was a useful tool for that. But in terms of being in touch with the instructor, I always found that my instructors were very responsive, either via email or through Canvas. Sometimes they would provide direct phone numbers even. And so I think the instructors are very, very invested in their students' learning. At least that was my experience.
Perfect. I think those were some salient points that you get out what you put in, and our community is really there to engage and learn with you. So great points. Laura, now a question to you, both about online and in-person networking opportunities. What do those networking opportunities look like for our students?
I would love to answer that, but the person that I know who would answer that better would be Lynn, because she has been actively involved. So Lynn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, so we have a lot of great opportunities for networking. As Sean and Lillian and Kelly all mentioned within your classes, I want to point out, because when I mention group work, I often hear some groans from people, but I'm going to tell you that is a great way to network with people. I made friends from one of my pre-admission courses before I was admitted, and they have remained lifelong friends. I even was the advisor to my friend's wife when she did the program later on. So I just wanted to put that out there. But we have some great opportunities. We have the Harvard Extension School Student Management and Finance Club, which is a great way to network with others, anything management, finance, and industrial organizational psychology related. I know a lot of folks are looking for, career networking opportunities. Again, joining that club, getting involved is a great way to network with others. Our Office of Student Affairs, they often hold networking opportunities on campus during those active learning weekend times. So that's another great way to meet people. Our NADA's office, the Office of ALM Advising, also hosts on-campus gatherings for students on those weekends. Of course, we've got Convocation, which is a great way to meet people. But yeah, those are some of I think honestly, your classes are going to be the best way to network with people. And I also want to point out, we do offer career services, which they hold many events throughout the year. And sometimes they might have some networking events that you might be interested. So I think just kind of keeping an eye on your email for the notifications of these events is very important. Keeping your eyes and ears out for everything. I think, like Sean said, you get what you put into it.
Thanks so much, Lynn. Yeah, so it seems like, there's both opportunities inside the classroom for networking and a wide array of opportunities outside of class to find, those connections. And speaking of outside of class, Lisa, could you tell us a little bit about ways you've engaged with peers or the Harvard community outside of your coursework?
Oh, I have been so lucky. I also need to echo that thing Sean said as well. You absolutely get out what you put in. So within my classes, I did lots and lots of, weekly meetup groups or study groups. Outside of my classes, sorry, there are a lot of programs that people don't really realize. I think you have to be a degree candidate first. I got to take a course as a guest at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. And there are all sorts of fun things you can look into. Apparently, you can take a course at just about any school within Harvard. If you want to go take a medical school course, you can maybe even do that. I'm not sure if I'm speaking out of turn, but there's a wonderful visiting student program I've also joined the iLab or Innovation Lab, which is for any student who has any sort of entrepreneurial idea or project that they're working on. And it is phenomenal. The fellow students that I meet there, the unbelievable projects they're working on, and the incredible list of advisors that we have access to help us. So those are, I think, a couple of the ways: taking courses at other schools within Harvard and joining the iLab. I've also been a TA. I think Sean said he was a TA, and that's also been a fabulous way to engage with other students, professors, and whatnot.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And yeah, Sean, on that same note, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience being a TA and how, you've taken your coursework and kind of expanded on it outside of the classroom setting?
Absolutely. I found my teaching assistant experience to be so enjoyable. As I said, I was a teaching assistant for Professor Gregory Sabin in his corporate finance course. I've always loved corporate finance, so it was I took the course as a student first. I did quite well, and he offered and said, if you'd like to come back and be the TA, you're more than welcome to. That teaching assistant work provided me with so much more interaction with my peers. I do see plenty of people in my classes, but when you're holding office hours every week, when you're answering all the emails, when you're the one helping create their study groups and connecting them with one another, it really changes your kind of sense of community. You feel as if you are an integral part in helping others build their own community. And as I said, I found it incredibly satisfying and fulfilling.
Awesome, Sean. Thanks so much. And a couple of our attendees have asked about time commitment and how do you balance schoolwork with life commitments? Lillian, I know you mentioned a little bit about this at the beginning, but could you tell us how you balance your schoolwork with Harvard Extension School and life commitments week to week, semester to semester? And if you have any tips for our students starting out soon?
Thank you. Well, I think the beauty of Harvard Extension School is that when you're looking at your next semester and you have gotten together with your academic advisor and just kind of sketched out a plan, you can add on or take away. If you know that this is a challenging time coming up, you can drop down to just one class and kind of slow down on your progression. And if you know that this is the time where you have the extra time and capacity, you can stack classes into your semester and kind of plan around that. I think that's the beauty of this program. So for me, when I started the program, I had a pretty small baby. So I just knew that I needed to just slowly chip at it and giving myself the time and flexibility needed to be able to do that. And then as he has started preschool, I can add more classes to my plate, and so I can kind of flex around it. I think that's one of the ways to do it. As far as tips, I think use the resources that you have. Consult with your academic advisor and just get a really nice, clear plan. I think that's really helpful for students who really, pretty much all of my peers that I have met, they're juggling family, very demanding careers, and somehow manage also to thrive in these very demanding classes. So I think you can do it. It just takes a lot of organization. Use the resources, lean into those office hours with the TAs, get as much as you can out of that, and just use that community, that learning community to thrive in this learning environment.
Perfect. Thank you, Lillian. I think you kind of, hit on some main points there. Flexibility, find, a path and a pace that works for you, and really lean on your community and your resources. And one of those great resources is Nada. Nada, could you give us a few quick tips in addition to Lillian's for anyone, thinking about starting their degree journey and how they can, go about preparing for that work-life balance?
I'm sorry, Jackie, I was just typing an answer, so just wanted to finish that up.
Okay.
So I think the first and most important thing is defining your goals. So you want to be clear and really clear on why you want to pursue a master's degree. Is it for career advancement, personal development? Is it a specific field of study? Do you have clear goals that will guide your choices and just keep you motivated to finish the classes, successfully? They need to research the programs, explore that program, look into the curriculum, the faculty, the reputation, obviously, and just making sure that they choose the program that clearly aligns with their interests and career aspirations. Financing and funding is a big deal. Are they able to take more than one class per term? Will work be able to subsidize any or part of the degree? Again, a master's degree it can be demanding. They need to balance coursework, projects, personal life. Everything should be they should be able to develop strong management, time management skills. Networking is vital. Staying organized is key. Keeping track of deadlines, assignments, requirements. Seeking support when needed. They need to understand that they can utilize the resources that we offer. We have such amazing resources, academic advisors. We have career support center. They need to be able to seek help when they need, and just stay motivated. Remind yourself that of your initial goals and the reasons for pursuing that degree, and any small achievements should be celebrated. So those are all key factors to our students' success.
Perfect. And I love the last one. Celebrate your little, achievements, little milestones. That's great. And Laura and Lynn, a question for you. What are some of the outcomes you see for our graduates of this program? Do some students go on to PhD programs afterwards? How have you seen, our finance management IOP programs help our students in their career afterwards?
Sure. I'll start out, and then I'll turn it over to Lynn. I really want to build on what Nada said. I think it's really clarity, right? Clarity of choice. What are your personal and professional goals and aspirations? What do you want to get out of this? And I love the fact that, Sean, you mentioned, you get what you give. And so this idea of what is it that you're putting into the program? What is it that you want to take out from the program? Also, I wanted to tie in the question, the earlier question about MBA versus our master's degree. And what I really like about that is that our program has this flexibility because everyone is coming with unique experiences, backgrounds, skill sets, different agendas, different motivations. And what's wonderful about that is you get to build a program that helps to augment what you already bring into the program, and you get to learn from one another. So some people choose to go more in depth. Some people choose to go more broadly. So it's really kind of up to you in terms of what you want to get out of it. But I think it's a very powerful conversation that you get to have in the marketplace, right? You can say, here's my undergrad degree. I have 7 to 10 years of experience in this area. And here is how I close these gaps. I delve deeper. And you can leverage that to a PhD. You can, we have a couple people who actually already have a PhD that are in the program. And one example is I met one of our students, and he said, I have a PhD. I know all about protein sequencing, but I want to learn how to manage a lab. I want to learn how to balance the budget. I want to be able to help get myself off the bench to navigate more the team dynamics in the lab. And so he was actually choosing to pursue a management degree. So I would say it really depends, and to Nana's, it speaks to that intentionality of what you want to get out of it. But I really think the sky is the limit in terms of what you want to do and how you get there. And that's really given the expertise of, we have advisors all the way through the process, right? That are very options oriented based on how they can support you. Lynn, let me turn it over to you, given your background and expertise.
Thanks, Laura. So yeah, I think what Laura said, absolutely, she summed it up very nicely. Just a few other things, like she pointed out, I've had several students that I've worked with who have PhDs in engineering. I even have a student who graduated a few years ago who was is an MD, and they did our management program, just as Laura said, because yes, they're experts in their field, but they need to learn how to now manage the folks that they want to, in order to be promoted, they really need those management skills. And then as far as the doctoral degrees, yes, I'm hearing from several of our alumni that they are going on to PhDs, PsyDs, DBAs. So yeah, we do, that is very common. But I think what Laura said, you what you put in is you're gonna, that's what you're gonna get out. And because of the flexibility we offer, you can really craft, which courses to take to fulfill your degree requirements, which are gonna help you, for your own personal choices. I also want to point out, many students have told me that because of, even before they finish their degree, they are getting promotions at work. I had one student who was taking strategic management who went into work the next week and applied what she had learned in class the week before to a big project. And her manager was super impressed. And she said, yeah, this is what I learned at Harvard Extension School last week. And they're putting it into practice right away. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for you to craft your path.
Fantastic. So, hearing a lot of inspiring outcomes. And I think the official motto for this coffee chat is, you get what you put in. So thank you, Sean, for that. So this will be our last question. And I'd like to kind of do it as a lightning round. I'd like to hear from everyone. Would you recommend joining our Harvard Extension School community? I have an inkling I know the answers, but would love to start off with Kelly.
Yes. I would encourage students. I had such a wonderful experience and learned so much. I never had any intentions of pursuing a graduate degree. And I'm so thankful I had the opportunity to, and that I did it here with the flexible schedule.
Fantastic. Nada, what about you? Would you recommend the Harvard Extension School community?
Of course. I mean, it's just a fantastic opportunity. It's Harvard affiliation, flexible learning, diverse offerings. I can keep going on, and the quality of education, of course, accessibility, the cost, competitiveness, self-directed learning. It's a lot of things I can keep, blabbering about. But again, short answer is absolutely yes.
Fantastic. And what about you, Lillian?
Definite yes, too. I think that over the course that I've been in the program, I've gotten so much more out of it than I anticipated. And that has been just incredible. I've not just the people I met and the professors and the quality of the learning, but the whole experience, it kind of shifted the way I am planning out my life. So yes, definitely yes, it's an incredible program. Join today.
Yes, love that. And what about you, Lisa?
My answer, when we spoke about the library, right here in my hand, I have a book rare in my field that I've been reading about for 20 years, that is from 1929, that is now in my hands for 4 months because of Harvard. So my answer is a big, solid yes.
I love that. Sean?
Absolutely. The Harvard Extension School has fundamentally changed my life. I've learned about myself. I now have opportunities available to me that never were in the past. And many of these things that I learned and these opportunities were not things that I anticipated to come from a master's degree. So absolutely yes. I tell all my friends and family to apply as well every day.
Love to hear that. And how about you, Lynn?
Yeah, so absolutely yes. I love it so much that I decided to work here. So I think that says a lot. And just the connections I've made. not only as a student before, now as a staff member, I've made lifelong connections that I will always cherish.
Thank you. And last but not least, Laura, how about you?
I'm biased. I'm biased. But one thing that I think is important to know is I already had an advanced degree. I was working at MIT Sloan School of Management. I took this class, for Bruce Watson, and I enjoyed it so much I kept going. And that was my introduction. And so I definitely I've drunk the Kool-Aid. I've been a student, I've been a TA, I've been an instructor, I've been an advisor and a director. And I can honestly say the community, the quality, if people come with an open mind and a willingness to learn, engage, and be open and explore and roll up the sleeves and do the work, you will be spoiled with riches and community. And when I say riches and knowledge and the connections that you have. So I highly recommend it. We welcome you, and we're here to answer any questions that you have as you go through the process.
Awesome. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. And, another, I think, great benefit is if you join our community, you'll get to see all of these lovely faces. So that's an added benefit. Thank you to you all for, answering these questions on our panel. And thank you to all of you attending today for taking the time to be here with us and asking some really insightful questions. If we weren't able to get to your question, however, or more arise, please contact us at inquiry@extension.harvard.edu or call us at 617-998-8500. Make sure to also follow us on our social media channels to stay updated on deadlines, hear student testimonials, and learn more about our offerings. We do also want to remind you before you go of a few important dates coming up. The full payment deadline for January session is December 7th, and the registration deadline is January 2nd. For the spring term, the full payment deadline is January 4th, and the last day to register is January 18th. And lastly, we want to remind you all that we will be sending out a recording of today's webinar to the email you used to register, along with this slide deck. You'll also be able to find it on our event webpage and the Harvard Extension School YouTube channel within a week. Thank you all so much again for joining us today, and we all hope to see you in class very soon.